And we're live. Hi everybody. I'm, as always, streaming to YouTube and Twitch. Later you can rewatch everything if you missed the stream. Today's day of Atcoder Grand Contest of number 46. This one. So we'll start with problem the strider. You can already read it. The statement is very short, so you can read it now. Most likely I will go through around 4 problems, maybe 5 if I'm lucky, and it will take from 2 to 3 hours. Standing in two-dimensional plane, facing north. Go 1 meter in the direction he's facing, then turn x degrees counterclockwise. Isn't this about greatest common divisor with 360 or something like that? I think so. I think it's enough to just compute GCD with 360. But before that, let me ping everybody on Discord and Twitter. Hi Lakshay. Have you ever thought to teach data structures and algorithms? I kind of do it sometimes on YouTube. On YouTube I have a lot of educational videos. I didn't produce any in past month, but I want to make that more frequently. From very basics. If you want to learn from very basics, there are books and courses for that. Right now, Pashka, Twitch, Pashka, Pavel Mavrin. He has weekly lectures on algorithms and data structures. If you want something like that, then go follow him. He has everything on YouTube channel as well. It's P Mavrin. Versus Division 2 going on. Oh, I see. Well, yeah, Division 3, not Division 2. Alright, here let's try, even without opening editor, this GCD with 360, I would say. Then starting from the second problem, I will be serious. So the answer will be 360 divided by this GCD, I think. Hi Rex Bellum, what's up? Okay, accepted, so let's just move on. I'm pasting link to the second problem in the chat. And now the fun should begin. Right. We have a grid A by B, everything painted white. Choose vertical or horizontal. If we choose vertical, insert 1 row at the top of the grid. If we choose horizontal, insert 1 column. Right. Oh, that's my slide from from Facebook Hacker Cup, because I'm making a video about the finals. Right. They are saying that every time either we add a row above, like that, maybe multiple times. This is one, so maybe in two first operations we will do this, then in next operation we add a row to the left. This way we expand the grid to the top and left. Assume the grid eventually has C horizontal rows and D vertical rows. Find the number of ways in which the squares can be painted in the end. Oh, then paint one of the added squares black and the other squares white. Right. Every time when I add a new row or column, one of those I paint. Let's say that we painted red. Maybe I painted this, painted that. They tell us what's the size, the initial size of the grid and the final size. So I know how many rows and columns I added. I just don't know the order, and I don't know which exactly cells. Find the number of ways in which the square can be painted in the end. From 1, 1 to 2, 2. Okay, and then there's a lot of ways. All right. Yeah, please use English in the chat. Sorry about that, but use English. How old is Ericto? I think there's even a comment for that. I'm 26. Right or left? So did they say left instead of right or something like that? Oh, right hand. Oh yeah, you're right, sorry. So actually this drawing shouldn't be like that. It's like this. That's now quite ugly drawing. I guess you get the idea. Anyway, let's draw the whole grid, and its corner, some part of it, was there at the very beginning. Let's say that, I don't know, this is the initial part. I cannot touch it. Then, in some order, I added the remaining rows and columns to the right and top. Every time when I did that, I colored one square. Example order can be this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, for sure I know the number of cells I need to paint. Also, this is impossible. It's impossible that in this row, within those 4 cells, 2 of them are painted, because just even if this is the first operation, there will be just 1 cell here. If first I did this, then in here I have only 1 cell. So at most 1 cell here, at most 1 here, and so on. At most 1 here. What are other conditions? At most 2 here. I cannot achieve this. I can't. Can we also discuss in the chat? Yeah, you can. You can say your idea. You can trace the path of the corner, but you know we can think indeed about. Maybe it's a good idea. The corner of the grid will move in some way, like this maybe, and this corresponds to adding rows and columns. Then every time I need to paint some cell, like when I move to the right here, it means I'm painting one of those cells. I'm not sure if it helps me. What is the statement? Well, I pasted link in the chat so you can just, scroll up, but you can also pause the video now and read it. Let's remove yellow for now because I don't see how it's helpful. If there is something here, what does it mean? If there are two things in the same row, then at least one of them came from the column. Also, in every row and every column there must be at least one cell painted. If two of them are painted, like here, I will say that or even more, then the leftmost one was painted by the row, like this or like that. If they tell me, if they give me some configuration of cells, sometimes there are two in the same row or column, then in every row I find the leftmost cell and I say this was painted with a row, within a row. In every column I find the bottommost. Actually, let's then mark it yellow. Here we have a collision, so this is bad. If and only if this thing will mark all the cells, then we're good. But that's not the only requirement, is it? Maybe something should be monotonic. What rating would this be? You can measure my time and compare with Codverse's problems. I don't know how to compare ratings. Garjuzi, please don't repeat your questions. I'm now focusing on the problem. What are the limits? 3000, 3000. Stream delay, please check. But you mean bigger than 10 seconds? How do you know how big the delay is? Right. If this cell is painted and it's the only one in this column, then apparently this whole column is painted, so the moves were like that. Is this possible? I wonder if this condition is enough. That if in every row I mark bottommost yellow, in every row I mark leftmost blue, and those are disjoint, and I mark this way everything. Okay, another idea. I need to count the number of ways to paint cells. If I just investigate in what order I add columns and rows, that was Gupta's idea from the very beginning. Maybe let's paste this one more time, or just let's use this drawing. When I move with corner to the right, then one of those cells is painted. Then I keep moving, and let's say every time I move, I multiply the number of ways by the number of cells from which I choose. Then also from this, and that. Do I double count something here? I think I do. If instead my path looks like that, so it turns this way, and the painted cells are, let's say, like that. That's possible. This is counted in both scenarios. Oh, this is possible, but anyway, red cells are split into two regions. So I can almost say that I want to choose 3 red cells somewhere here, 3 red cells somewhere there. That's kind of it. And there should be just some polyline that splits them. Let's say that you are yellow, or not, green. And if some red is here, can I still split? I can. This is possible scenario. Well, it's not possible because 2 reds are in the same row, but now it's possible. When is it impossible? Like this. Now it's impossible. Green cannot be left top from red. This is also impossible. This possible, right? Then I can go column by column, choose where green should go. Let's say that nothing is yet decided. Your boat broke. Why did it broke? Why did it break? Oh, on Discord I gave a wrong link. Thank you, Vanilla, for noticing a mistake. If the stream is in bad quality for you, you can watch on YouTube instead. This is the link. If you're just joining the stream, you can pause the video now and you can read the statement. Or just Google extension or grab it from the chat. If I'm choosing that in the first column, green goes here. Or let's say it goes there. What should I do? Well, then I need to choose red somewhere here, let's say there, and again here, somewhere there. Then I choose the next green. Nothing happens. I choose the next green, let's say here, nothing happens. If the first green was there, then I would just say that red is somewhere here. If the next green is here, then reds would be here and there. If this is every next column, then I will have dp over the current column and max green, so max row kind of. What is the topmost row in which I put some green? Whenever I increase it, then I say that reds that I should put reds here. But this will be cubic. For every pair, C and max row, I will iterate over position of the next green. I think I know how to speed this up enough. When green is here, two rows above the previous green, then in this case, red has 4 possibilities here and there. So I will multiply the number of ways by times 4 to the power, why 4? Not 4, 5. So just C to the power of 2. This 2 is actually the difference between this position and this position. Right, and now if I don't finish with max row being the very topmost row like that, then at the end as well I need to say that reds are anywhere here, or actually anywhere here. Should be good. Will you cover all grand contests? I'm trying, but it takes a lot of time. Let's code this. I will first implement cubic dp, make it work for sample tests, and after that I will speed this up to quadratic. I'm using Windows, and this is virtual machine with Linux, with Ubuntu, because I can only efficiently code in Linux. I need to close some stuff from previous contest. Because in my IDE there are like tens of tabs open. I'm just hitting Ctrl W a lot of times. Right. Yeah. Again, the plan for today is to go through 4 or 5 problems from this contest. Link is in the description and in the chat. We are now solving B extension. I said that this is dp of column and max row. A, B, C, D is given. A is related to C. Let's call them height 1, width 1, height 2, width 2. And I will need to use modulo. Modulo this, somebody asked the question earlier. This means you need to print the remainder of the answer modulo this value. If it was modulo 10, it would mean print the last digit. This is some helper function. Alright, we start with dp of what? Width 1. We go by columns. So now we need to decide about this column. And max row is just height 1 minus 1. This is the width of that smaller grid from which we start. Now I'm looking at column number this. And this is the number of already occupied rows. For every column, for every max row, I iterate over the position of green in the next column. This is basically iterating over the next row to take. P of C plus 1. And now this is not the full code because, as I told you, we need to multiply by this, by what? By the column ID to the power of difference if we are above the previous max row. Okay, what is C? Is this counted from 0? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. When C is equal to 4, then I should indeed take 4. Then I don't need to do minus 1. Power of C to difference. This can be done in logarithmic time, but I don't need it right now. Just linearly many times multiply by a, then you will get a power. What do we print at the end? I will use dp of this last thing, max row, maybe multiplied by something. If the topmost green was on row, let's second row from the top. Then there is one row left and I need to put red somewhere there. So that's, in that case, that will be exactly that many possibilities. I think it's this. Like if you don't know what's going on but still watching. You can, it's very easy to start with programming and also to start with algorithms. If you're watching on YouTube, in the description you will find some useful links. Alright, I have overflows because I don't use my functions. This shouldn't be just plus equal because then indeed we'll get overflows. .387, right? Everything works. Now, this part is cubic, of course, because you have for loop times for loop times for loop. That's cubic in total. But this part inside should be easy to optimize. dp of c plus 1 and whatever x is equal to dp of c, maybe this way. Every next thing is extra multiplied by c. If green is below, then it doesn't matter. There are two parts. When we iterate up to max green, up to this actually, then there is no difference, so we don't need to multiply by anything. And when we go above, like that, then we have this difference. Max grow, what did I want to say? Oh, max row. I'm combined max green with max row. Right, still works. This part is just prefix sums. I need to prefix of something, and this is green. To some prefix I'm adding the same constant value. Oh, I messed up. Why? Oh, this is max row. So I take the sum. Oh, I don't use green. Oh, then it's easy. To the same cell, I added this value some number of times. This should be equivalent. Yep, it's equivalent. And now, this is something else. For every max row, iterate above and use this. As I go with max rows, I will maintain some kind of sum. And I will here say sum, add to the sum dp of me. Oh, this is me. I don't want that. And I want to replace this with just add self. This should be equivalent to what I did here. Then obviously sum is multiplied by C to count for this power. Everything previous multiplied by this, and also add myself. I believe it should be in this order because I added myself here. Let's try. Nope. Too much. Can you just check div3c now and give me a hint? There is an editorial for sure. Try that. Neil completed all problems of division 3 in 18 minutes. Good for him. Why is it not equivalent? If I skip this, then this still works. If I skip this. Doesn't work. Oh. This works. This was some old line, wasn't it? Oh, here I should use the sum, not me. Alright. Now it's just quadratic. We can try the max test. Yeah, very fast. Division 3 are for noobs. Everybody was a newbie once. Accepted. We're moving on to problem C, shift. Link goes in the chat. Oh yeah. There is this annoying thing in virtual machine that in Google Chrome this text, it's actually a rich text. When I copy it with Ctrl+C, I cannot paste it in Windows. I can copy a text like this. If I Ctrl+C hit here, then in Windows I can paste it. But actually in Chrome, this is not simple text. It's a rich text and I cannot copy paste it. What I need to do is I need to copy paste this here to just any text editor. Then from here I can cut or copy paste. C, shift. Flagship style of Atcoder problems. You have some crazy process, analyze it and understand what is possible there. GBM, somebody answered you already. That's maybe not. Well, nope. I'm not logged in. Maybe I am. Don't I have some links here? Okay. In Twitch, but also in YouTube, there are frequently asked questions. There's also a link in the chat. Go read that. It includes information on how to practice. Maybe I have this comment? Practice? No, I need to make it. Let me real quick do it. You can think about the problem. Right. The link works now. And this link includes, if you are a beginner, read Competitive Programmer's Handbook. Right. So chat, in the future, if there is a question how to start or anything like that, there is a command, !, practice. Can you tell by your writing? If you don't know English, why are you watching streams in English? You have a link. Read this. This is the answer in written form. Read the link. But also, streams aren't a good source of knowledge if you don't know English. Let's analyze this crazy process. We have a string. If on ith position you have 0 and on jth position you have 1, I must go before j. I must be smaller. And remove the jth character, meaning remove 1, and insert it to the immediate left of this. What is the second value? Okay, how many times we applied the operation? I believe that they just said that a 1 can go before some 0. Atcoder gives you a headache. And it has some hard problems, right? The point is that they are hard indeed. Right. This 0 at the end will be useless. Then one operation is to move 1 somewhere to the left, like here. Maybe it's good to think that there are zeros. They create some sequence. Initially, ones are somewhere. Let's decrease the size of ones. The ones are somewhere, but I can move them around. I can move a 1 to the left. This is just the initial string. I didn't change much. I can say that positions, but there are zeros, and positions between them are numbered, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And once, in every position between zeros, there can be some number of ones. In one operation, I move a 1 to the left. So this sequence can be treated as 1, 1, 0, 0, 2, 0. That's the number of ones on every position. There are 2 ones here, 0 ones here. And one operation is to decrease some value by 1 and increase some value on the left by 1. The question is how many sequences I can get with at most k operations. I believe that this will be easy now, and also you cannot make more than n square operations. So my first line of code will be something like that. I can minimize k with n squared, or actually the length of this sequence square. No. For every value I know how many times it can move by 1 to the left. So I can sum this up. Well, basically every 1 it can jump over every 0 only once. So that's some limit, but the upper limit is n squared. What do you use for writing on screen like that? This is OneNote, and I have a drawing tablet. It is answered in FAQ as well. Lol and at table for BenQ. What, BenQ solved everything? Nice. Very nice. Oh, BenQ is much better than I am. So what can I do about it? I'm trying to solve those problems as well. We will go from left to right, or maybe from right to left is better. And it will be dp of position and maybe not dp. If I'm somewhere and let's say I moved from the right, I would say that it will be dp of position and the number of items I moved from the right and the number of operations already. But that's just too slow. Both moving and k can be up to n square. This would be n to 5th power. This is that many states. And maybe even more, maybe more transitions. What's the question? How many sequences can we get, or what? Find the number of strings. Yeah. Okay. Then if I want to get some string with some operations, then I want to get there in optimal number of operations. So if at the end there will be 1 here, it means I just moved 1 from there. That's one thing. The other is from this I can make some new sequence if and only if every prefix is not smaller. For example, this is achievable because for every prefix the sum of values here is at least greater than or equal to the previous sum of values. The sum of values here is 3, previously it was 2. It still will be n to 5th power. That would be dp of position, sum of values so far, and the number of operations there. Damn it. How can you continue tirelessly in such difficult problems? What do you mean tirelessly? The stream is less than 1 hour. The real contest is 2 hours or 5 hours. That's not tirelessly. When you go to school, you need to think for several hours. So this is nothing. What do you think is better, Vim or other text editors like Genie? Everything is fine. Because apparently, everything has some user base. I use Genie. Genie is very convenient for me. Genie has some features that Vim does not. But Vim also has some features that Genie doesn't. Can a person learn from reading the solution and editorial? Yes, of course you can. It's not enough just to do it. You need to practice solving a problem yourself as well. I'm thinking. Oh, the sum of values in my sequence is actually limited by n. I created those values by counting ones. So the sum of blue values doesn't exceed n. Then dp of position and sum doesn't exceed n. Oh, and it's enough to move every n by 1. All right, this is enough. Every one, it wants to be somewhere at the very end, so I can just do it with one operation. Oh, even this was already cubic. Now let's think for a moment about the easiest implementation. N-cubic is fine. What exactly I want to do? Limit was 300, right? Yeah. K is huge, but I already understood why it can be minimized down to 300, maybe even 150? No, 300. Like if there is single zero and then a lot of ones, and each one can move like that. So the limit is actually 299. I can minimize k with n minus 1. Size of this sequence will be the number of zeros. K can be minimized to the number of ones. This way, if I have the number of ones and zeros, maybe I can have something to fourth power complexity, because the worst case will likely be for equal number of ones and zeros, and 150 to fourth power, this is fast enough. Maybe depends on operations, types of operations, but time limit was here 3 seconds instead of 2, so I think this is good enough. I think. We need to do transitions. And I'm thinking about those transitions. moving something to the left. This was my first idea, moving from the right and maintaining this DP. This is how many operations are already started and possibly finished. This is the number of ongoing operations. So I moved something from the right, but I don't know where it will land. When I look at the number, like let's say now I'm deciding about this 0, I iterate over its new value, and I will update those dimensions accordingly. It will be n to 4th power, but should be good enough. The transitions will be very simple. So with prefix sums, I should be able to get it down to cubic if needed. What about repetitive case? What repetitive case? I cannot get rid of the hunch that you can calculate the number instead of enumerating. Did I ever want to enumerate? DP is always about counting, not enumerating. Can smell Polish accent. I'm not surprised. I think I have quite thick Polish accent. Counting is enumerating, in brackets loops. What? Calculate the number instead of enumerating. Oh, you mean that calculate with a formula instead of for loops? But what do you do with the input? You have some sequence in the input. Always thought you were Romanian. I don't feel offended. That's fine. I can be Romanian if you want. If you list all cases you count and you enumerate same, synonym in this case. Okay, so in math it isn't. I mean, count the number verse can mean whatever, but enumerate specifically says that you want to consider each one separately, right? GBM, I'm not an expert on Turkish streamers or anything. I will create that blue sequence. The blue sequence was the number of ones between every 0. If 0, I have some ongoing ones. If it's 1, then increase the number of ones. After the last 0, there are some more ones. Yep. I can print this sequence. So on samples, I will check if it's correct. It's some technical stuff. Zero, 1, 1. Between before the first 0 there is 0 once, then 1, then 1. All right. Good night, GBM. Good luck in your journey. Fine. Should I move from the right? I guess so. Let's maybe reverse this sequence. And now it is DP. Can I have cubic memory? 27 million. All right, it will easily fit in the memory limit. I start with DP of 0, 0, 0 equal to 1 way. This means DP of position, ongoing, and operations. Operations cannot exceed k, and k needs to be minimized down to something. Minimized to the sum of values in blue. What about not reading k here at all? Just at the end I will read k and we'll use it. Yeah, I like this idea. But I will use n. Oh, no, maybe. Let's sum up blue values. This is different from the final k. At the end I need to do read k. This k just means I could basically answer queries about different k, but this is maximum reasonable k. For every position. I have blue of I here. Blue of I is what? The blue value here. And now I can decrease it, so I can move stuff to the right, or I can increase it by taking stuff from the left, the stuff that I already started. New value here will be at most the current value plus ongoing. Well, I need to iterate over that. I'm going up to okay. If 5 ones are still moving to the left, then it means I started at least 5 operations. So operations cannot be smaller. And now the not cubic part. Iterate over new value here. What am I doing? I believe that this will not exceed k. But let's check with an assert. And what do I do? dp of I plus 1. No. New value minus blue I. Is that good? If I increase this by 2, if let's say from 5, the blue I is 3, new value is 5, it means I put 2 ones here. Can this be smaller than 0? Well, this is ongoing minus new value plus, no, this is by definition greater or equal 0. This and operations plus how many new operations I start. I start that many. If blue I was 5, but I want it to be 3, it means I take 2 once and I move it to the right. And finally, we read K. Let's call it allowed. dp of what? N. Ongoing must be 0. I need to finish all the operations. And let's call it OP, like operations. And I guess I should have computed everything modulo. Yep. And 14. Nice. This will again give me an overflow. So plus equal here. Brackets are good here. Good. And add self there. Add self is my helper function to add one value to the other, modulo mod. Because I care about the speed, I will avoid the modulo operator here. When you add two values, you can do this. 1, 1, 3. All right. Let's test this on kind of a max test. I'm not sure if it's a max test, but should be good enough. The number of columns is exactly 300. Segmentation fault. $305 out of bounds. Which one is out of bounds? The sum of blue values should be 105. Wait. Oh, I'm not reading K. Yeah, K is whatever, let's say 123. That was invalid input. First goes the string, then K. 60 milliseconds, 50 milliseconds. All right. Maybe that's not even max test, maybe it can be 5 times slower, still I will pass. And during app solving, I can just submit without checking a max test like this. During a contest, I would check to avoid penalty for wrong submission. For runtime errors. I don't minimize. The menu of what K and allowed. And here I iterated up to 1 billion. And instead of giving me time limit exceeded, I just got segmentation fault because I tried to access element in an array which exceeds the array size. Is Atcoder beginner contest good if your Codeforces rating is 1800 plus? You can try and see if problems are too easy for you. Accepted. Cool. I think that the last two problems in beginner contest will be educational for you. so it's fine. Maybe just absolve and just do E and F. But practicing some easy problems and thus increasing your speed is perfectly fine. Problem the secret passage. You get link in the chat. Is Atcoder Grand Contest almost just DP? No. Let's check in editorial, but maybe one of those two problems, it wasn't supposed to be solved with DP. C was DP. Okay, B and C were both DP. Yeah. So that's my n to fourth solution. We can improve it to n cubic by careful implementation. I agree. Those are some simple interval operations. If you split into cases of new value greater than blue I or smaller, then just to some interval you're adding something, right? Yeah, prefix sums, maybe diagonal prefix sums if you affect both operations and ongoing. All right, secret passage. Oh, input is the same, but without k. Given a binary string of length 300, find the number of strings. But the thing is that this limit suggests again dynamic programming, and I hope that they didn't give 3 dynamic programming problems in a row. That would be bad. Remove the 2 characters at the beginning of S, erase one of them, and reinsert the other somewhere in S. If I do the operation n over 2 times, if I possibly go for the whole string, then what remains is some n over 2 characters, and they can be in any order. But sometimes I can choose to insert again at the beginning, and then I will remove it. Maybe let's think about it like it is allowed to remove the 2 first characters. If I don't need one of them, we can remove both. I don't know if it will help, but it is possible. If I have A, B, C, D, C, E, I can remove 2 first characters, and A I insert somewhere in the string. In particular, it can be the very first position. Like that. Then I again remove the first 2 characters, insert one of them again. It can be the beginning. Then I will have those 4 characters. Let's then just assume that it is allowed to remove first 2 characters. But at least one of them needs to be removed. Then if I wish to continue, at least 2 of them, so here at least one is removed. Here at least 2 is removed, unless I wish to stop earlier. Here at least 3 and so on. Everything else will be just reordered. I will have this string plus this or this character, this or that, this or that, and maybe some other combinations. Can I save those two? I think it's possible. If I decide to remove them both, then it's possible. I can achieve it by removing those, inserting one of them again, then looking at those two, removing that and inserting you somewhere late, then looking at those two and doing something. Can I save those three? I don't think it's possible. Can't we upload 1080p low? I can't upload. If you mean that it's hard for you to watch, you can watch on YouTube. I'm streaming them at the same time. Chat, if you see somebody writing about this, just use Y22 command, YouTube 2. It will give them a link. I cannot save those two, that's for sure, because my very first operation is to remove one of them. I can save those two. I cannot save those three. I can save any combination, any two of those except for those. Then that. Removing those two is very special. I mean, saving those two is very special, because when doing this, I needed to save one of them, so it would be here, then those two. Yeah. I cannot save all three characters. Can I can't. I hope that maybe we can say for every prefix there is just some number of allowed survivors. And then that would make problem a little bit easier, but that's not the case. In this prefix of length 5, because we are talking about survivors, let's choose conditions for survivors. There is at most 1 survivor here, at most 2 there, at most 3 here. And in this prefix of length 5, 3 survivors are possible, like this one, this one, this one, unless it's those 3. I cannot save all of them. If it will be somewhere later, then yes, I can save all of them by inserting something from the left between them. Time to get better in coding. Yeah, the process, if some process is described in the statement, you need to understand what it can do. And my first idea was, maybe it can do everything with it can save any set of elements at the beginning, assuming that that set of conditions is satisfied. And of course, then I would also need to take care of moving characters to the right, but I would maybe be closer to the solution. Though my idea isn't correct. The fact that I cannot save the 3 characters here, it messes up my plan. Do you practice other than on streams? Rarely. I try to stream what I do, but I do some competitions, not on streams and videos. You were saying YouTube has better encoding than Twitch. Okay, because encoding is also name of some technique. But I agree, YouTube has better encoding than Twitch. It's a trade-off. It has bigger delay as well, I think. So Twitch is, well, it's complicated. Never mind. I will not go into that. To save those 2 guys, I need to waste half an operation, I would say. When looking at them, one of them gets erased forever. The other one is inserted here, or maybe here. So that's like, after 2 operations, I will reach this position, not that. This is why we have trouble here. Maybe I need to think, where did I go, up to what position, with what number of operations. I don't know if that will be DP. Maybe. But the position, or let's say index I, the number of operations already used, such a pair, it will tell me how many elements from that prefix I erased. So also how many characters were saved and thus moved to the right. If I moved something to the right, then for the next 2 values, I can save both of them even when needed by inserting one. So by inserting one guy next to you, then taking both of them and saving the first blue. So this DP, or maybe not even DP, but a pair INT operations. If let's say we have prefix of length 3 and I know there were 2 operations, so they removed 2 characters, 1 character moved to the right. I know this number of characters that are moving to the right. All right, that's something. Then I will know if I can save 2 next characters or not. If I decide not to do so, then I just take them both, I erase both, and one of them gets moved to the right. Right, fine. But they ask me, what's the number of final strings? Find the number of strings. Ooh. Do you think I must have a university degree to be a programmer? I don't have a university degree and I'm a programmer. So no. You're asking a very easy question. If you tried to Google your question, you would find like thousands of cases where somebody without a degree became a programmer. But studying helps. I studied for a few years and it helped me a lot. I learned much. I met new people. Both of those things help in career and in real life. I mean, non-career. The characters from the input matter a lot. If some character is repeated a lot, then it doesn't matter which of them I decide to save. Let's say that I make just two operations. Let's say that from first 4 characters of the string, let's try to expand this A, B, C, D, C, E, and then there is A, B, D, D, C, this long string. I move one of A or B to the right, I move one of C or D to the right. How many strings can I get this way? If I move D, then obviously it doesn't matter where exactly here I insert it. But something trickier is that when I move A and B, it doesn't matter if I insert this A and B, let's say A and B they both go here, or they both go here. That will result with the same string, and that's very tricky. Maybe this is not a good example, should be more like that. Let's say this is the string. From this I remove C and move A to the right. From this pair I remove D and I move B to the right. Then those two positions, they are kind of the same. Maybe I should look at the substring and check if I have enough characters to make up this substring, and then putting this set of characters on the left or right, it doesn't matter. But that will be too complicated with multiple places where I can put stuff. Are you monogon? No. Why are you asking? In particular, monogon is from United States, and I don't think I have that kind of accent. Oh, sorry. When did he start to stream live? Isn't that displayed on YouTube? The stream is 1 hour and 30 minutes. Yes, I'm from Poland. If somebody is joining the stream now, the problem is you're given a string. In one operation, you take first 2 characters, you remove one of them, and the other you move somewhere in the string, possibly again on this first position. So maybe we remove A and we take C, we insert it, let's say here, whatever. We do this operation many times. How many different strings can we get? The length of the given string is up to 300. You should prioritize giving time to chat considering solving such hard problems. I don't know what you mean. You mean I should spend more time talking with the chat or less time? Oh, there are just zeros and ones. Why did nobody remind me of this? Well, that's for sure a huge difference. Only zeros and ones. Well, it's not A, B, C, D, and so on. It's just A and B, or 0 and 1. When I'm done with a prefix, what will happen is I move some number of zeros and some number of ones to the right. I'm quite certain it will be just some allowed interval. If I move 5 items to the right, maybe 3 or 4 of them can be ones, and the remaining will be zeros. Then there is some suffix of the given string. I don't touch this suffix, it's there. Plus, I can insert there some number of ones and zeros. How many different strings can I get? It's some sub-problem for us to solve. Let's focus on this. There is some binary string. And I have, say, 3 ones and 2 zeros. This is how many items I need to insert there. How many different strings can I get? That's the question. This length of this is 10, plus I insert 5 more. This will be the string I'm creating. Let's call this S. This is S prime, new version. And can I get a 1 here? Yes, I can, but for sure it will be one of those. If this is 0, then it's better to say that this is this 0, and this one will be more flexible in the future. So after some prefix, there is fixing prefix of S prime. It corresponds to already being done with some prefix of S, and I used some zeros and ones here, so it sounds like dp of, let's say this is J, position J here in string S, J, and the number of ones and zeros used or remaining. The sum of those 3 values, it will tell me the current position in string S prime, but actually I don't need to know this current position. From this, I consider adding 0 or 1. If it matches the next character in S, then I use it, so I increase J by 1. Otherwise, I change one of those values by 1. That's very simple, cubic dp. For the problem, you're given a string, and you can insert there some number of ones and zeros. How many strings can you get? I could run this thing only once, though, so it's not that for every prefix of the given string I will consider separately. I will consider doing something in the prefix and then run this thing. I cannot do that. Unless I take the input string, I move from the right. This will be preprocessing. So J is going from the right end of string S. I can create S prime from the right. Ones and zeros is the number of ones and zeros used, starting from, we will here start from dp of n 0, 0. And then, after this cubic preprocessing, I will look at my input string. I will go from the left and consider this thing with operations. And for every prefix, after I'm done with that prefix, I can ask the preprocessing about this suffix, and there, if I want to insert 2 ones and 3 zeros, then what can happen there? Something like that. But I will have overcounting. Maybe this prefix and extra 5 zeros and 4 ones, it can create the same thing as this. Did I say prefix? I meant suffix. As this suffix and 2 ones and 1 zero. How can we get better at dynamic programming? Practice solving dynamic programming problems. You're welcome. Less time to the chat. So regarding Techie Chan's previous message, I don't think I spent more than 10% of time talking with the chat, do I? Anything smaller than, let's say, 25% of the stream should be fine. Tuesdays aren't a big problem anyway, because it's a hard stream, so not a lot of people keep watching. When it's easier stream, it's a bigger problem that I get tons of questions. I appreciate love from India, but you're repeating your comments, so you're spamming. Please stop. You don't need to waste my time by requiring me to answer to something like love from India. Come on. My tummy is hungry and it makes sounds. Maybe we should go from the right. I don't know, for every string as prime. What about trying to understand the longest suffix for which it's possible to create this string? Can you please bring tourist to your channel to share his experience? His experience is same as everybody in the top. He solved, I don't know, thousands or tens of thousands of problems. That's it. You can let him know that he's welcome to my channel. After removing some stuff for prefix, the information I will have is that 5 zeros and 7 ones survived, and I moved them to the right. And actually, I had a lemma that it is some interval is possible. If 5 zeros and 9 ones can survive, but also 7 zeros and 7 ones, then I claim that as well 6 zeros and 8 ones can survive. Something like that. Maybe for every number of zeros I just care about the maximum number of ones that can survive. I can always remove an extra character, being the first or second. So if a 1 can survive from the prefix, then I can put it at the very beginning. I can erase it while the second character just moving to this first position. So yeah, if A zeros and B ones can survive, then also A minus 1B or A and B minus 1 can survive. It's a proper definition for every prefix to know for some number of surviving zeros what's the maximum number of surviving ones. Right, now this second DP. When moving from the right, it minimizes used prefix of S. So maybe the same can be achieved with longer prefix, but I'm not trying to do. Maybe then we will avoid double counting. By asking, hey, if I have 5 zeros and 7 ones, and this prefix, my question is actually different. Oh, when the length is the same but the number of ones is zeros is different, then I will get distinct strings because the number of ones is different. All right, maybe there is no overcounting. Maybe we're done here. This will be cubic preprocessing on string S from the right. Then from the left I will have, for every number of surviving zeros I need to know maximum number of surviving ones. That's actually quadratic DP, but doesn't hurt to make it cubic. Maybe it will be a bit easier to code. For every position, the number for every number of zeros and every number of ones, just Boolean value whether it's possible or not. That I'm done with this prefix and this number of zeros and ones survived. Then asks suffix of S. Hey, if I'm asking about you and you get that many surviving ones and zeros, what's the number of possible strings? I need to think one more minute about overcounting something. Toris doesn't talk in his channel. I mean, then apparently he doesn't like to talk about like stupid stuff like how to practice. Like it's public knowledge how to practice. So why would he be more talkative on my channel than on his? I understand why people from the top don't want to waste time on answering questions that are answered already thousands of times in code forces. Because yes, it's a waste of time, it's just repeating some stuff. This TP is fine. Then it uses this one. This is the number of strings of length this plus that plus that. such that if we try to use as short prefix or suffix of s as possible, then we will get up to here. What about strings that can get longer, as short as possible? But maybe we can use more characters from S. Should we count that case? No, we shouldn't. Right. Let's try that. We will start with preprocessing from the right. Good night, CSK. Always a lot of people are watching in India, and now it's what, plus 4 hours, 11 p.m. in India, or 20 past 11. So a reasonable time to go to sleep. This is, well, let's reverse this string. I wanted to do preprocessing from the right, so now reverse and to do it from the left. We start from this. That's the number of ways. The number of ways. Let's just copy helper functions for modulo. Only add self will be there. Actually, in C I had a better function, faster one. This is dp of position, the number of zeros and ones, nothing to write here, really. Wait, didn't we use as big prefix of s as possible, right? Yes, we do. Let's get for a moment back here. Whenever possible, we use character from this because we want those should be left for later because they are more flexible. dp of j10 is the number of strings of length this plus that, such that if you greedily try to take as many characters from s as possible, then you will take that many. Now, how will I use it? When I get here, after the first 3 characters, this suffix is not touched. I know that some characters from the left are moved here. Then can I just use dp of this length? So strings that will use this length. What if I take 0 from the left and I put it here at the very beginning and it matches this character, so this actually should be longer by 1. Then I will count it here. The code will not be very difficult, so even though I'm not sure about the correctness, I will implement it. Or should I analyze the sample test? No, coding will be easier. I have string of length I plus zeros plus ones already, and now I append one more character, and either it matches the position I or not. This is for matching case. For not matching case, if this is 0, then 1 wouldn't be matched. I would need to take some extra one coming from somewhere else. I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, it should be this. Because that's not length of my string. That's next position to take from S. I'm now creating kind of a longer string. Like that. Maybe let's do it with condition that I plus 1s plus 0s smaller equal n. It will be a bit faster. I don't need anything longer than that, because that's the length. All right. Yep, looks fine. In particular, dp of n 0, 0, this should be 1. Because I can create exactly the same string. Assert didn't fail, so that value was 1. Maybe I shouldn't name every dp, but because now I will need a second one and I need another name. Because we reverse S back to the initial form. We go from left to right, and I care about the number of zeros and ones, the Boolean thing. By default, everything is false, but this one is true. Ones and zeros, they will not exceed that. Zeros goes first. And this is process described in the problem. I can take first two characters, remove one of them, and the other one move somewhere to the right. So most of the time we move by 2. Ken of I plus 2 of zeros, ones. Is this possible? Can I increase the number of zeros? I can if one of removed characters is 0. Similarly, if at least one is 1. Alright, but that's not the only possibility. Maybe I moved one of zeros or ones exactly here to match it with the first character. So this can be possible as well. And what could be the point of that? Well, is that true? If I have let's say 1 on the first position, but I move 1 from the left here, I remove one of them and the other I have. Oh yeah, I can just remove the first character if something was there already. Okay, so that works. In particular, the first character can be removed because I just removed the first two and I saved the second one. But maybe it's unnecessary, and maybe even it leads to overcounting. Okay, so I can remove you. I can save you as well. And what do I do with all those values? Oh, if not can of yes, zeros. I can remove two first characters, but only in this case. If the two last characters, or right now two first characters, if they exist. If this is possible, should I use something from preprocessing? dp of n minus I zeros and ones. I'm so much unsure about this. Six. All right. Instead of 8, it should be 8. Here, I think something more is possible. I think that we can move by 1 and change something. Like a 0 into 1, I think. Like that. How to do it? If this first character is 1, and I have at least one 0, 0 is moved from the left, I put it here, I have 0, 1, I remove them, and I take 1 and move it to the right. Symmetrical case. Still 6. Is n minus 1 good here? What about up to n? Maybe I should move up to n. Hmm, 9. That's bad. Yeah, I'm not. Maybe I'm very far away from correct answer. Time to analyze the sample test. Oh, do you see what I'm saying? My answer is always too big by 1. Maybe I'm just counting empty string or something like that. Okay, let's test this theory by submitting. All of that, I don't care about this debug. It's related to my compilation flags, and I don't need to change code to submit this. I have two compilation buttons, F8 and F9. You can see the full command here at the bottom. When I hit with F9, it's compiled with dlocal, and it's defined somewhere here that only if flag local is set, then debug line is triggered and it will actually print something. Rate. Oh, who rated? Neil, thanks. I'm doing Atcoder Grand Contest 46. And I wanted to maybe end the stream now, but because of rate, maybe let's do one more problem. Didn't know Neil was streams? Do you never visit Codeforces? He streams once every few days, very often with comment editorial for Division 2 or 3 contest. Should I understand why it's too big by 1? Am I counting empty string or what? Let's analyze for much shorter string. Itself should be counted from 1, that's correct, isn't it? No, 1. Oh yeah, okay, so here I000110 I1. Okay, so for as input 1, my program found 2 cases, and the answer 1 is correct, but only after I subtracted 1. Do I count empty substring? This means that I start from the very beginning. That sounds good. I think that this needs to happen. DP of 00, I needed that at the very beginning, because I start from that. I start from empty substring and I build the preprocessing DP on the top of that. And yeah, that's good, but then it's unnecessarily 1, and I keep adding this thing. So let's try with this fix, remove subtracting 1. Let's just try to print answer. See if it works on samples. It does. No, I copied the sample test by mistake. It will be compilation error. Yep, it is compilation error. Tell something for greedy problems. What should I tell them? All right. ABCD done. Let's try E permutation cover. So is it again DP? Yeah. How could they give B, C, and D in a row all about dynamic programming? That's very bad. You don't want to. Maybe it's fine if 2 problems in a contest are about similar topic, especially if they are not 2 consecutive problems. But here B, C, D, at least B was very different, but C and D are almost the same statement, both about doing operations on a string, counting number of strings that can be a result of some process. N is up to 300, so both are DP, but also B is DP. I don't like it. All right, permutation cover. You're getting a link. Find the lexicographically smallest sequence P. Satisfying. Every element in P must be from 1 to K. The input is the number of occurrences of every value. There's a continuous sequence of length K that contains the term. If the input is 2 for 3, it means that there are 2 1s, 4 2s, 3 3s. I need to create a sequence out of those. And this is the output. Indeed, there are 4 2s. Fine. This is condition number 2. The condition number 1 just means that there are no other elements. It could be just skipped. It should say this and there are no other elements. For each term, there is contiguous subsequence of length K. Right. These are elements from 1 to K, some permutation of them. Then when we look at this 2, it's also a part of such a thing. It's here. When we look at this 2, it's also part of such a permutation. 3, also part of such permutation, blah blah, then finally this. The first K elements, for sure, they need to be a permutation, like that, because the first element must belong to something. Then there are 3 possibilities. The next permutation is this, the next occurrence, or it's this, or it's this. Because 2 must belong to something. In the first case, it means exactly that the first element is equal to this one. Determine whether a sequence P exists. We don't need to count this time. Hello. Hi, Atarva. How are you? Why are you using caps lock? How can one improve on greedy problems? Oh, I see that you used caps lock previously too. Okay. What about not using uppercase when not necessary? And I answered your previous question. Oh no, I joked about it, right? Okay, here you go. Solve greedy problems. You're welcome. Let's focus on just answering yes or no. If every element occurs the same number of times, then that's easy because I can just make 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I believe that the frequencies can only differ twice. If there is 10, then the biggest value can be 20. That's because, is it true? The first k elements, they create a permutation. Maybe it's better to talk about it without spaces. And now 3 consecutive elements are a permutation, something like that. Right, then, first 3 elements are a permutation. When we look at 4th element, it must belong to some permutation too. The rightmost possible case is this. Or maybe like that, or maybe like that. Right, what about this? In k consecutive elements, let's say that k is 4 or 5, I'm looking at those 5 elements, there cannot be 3 equal values. If this is value x, this is value x, and this is value x, then this x doesn't belong to any good interval, being a permutation from 1 to k, because it will for sure contain some other occurrence of x. Observation: at most 2 occurrences, same value among k consecutive values. Consecutive elements. So in first k there is at most 2, second k at most 2, at most 2, and at most 2. There is something about rounding then at the end, but roughly for every k values only 2 of them can be equal. And another observation is that every twice k minus 1 consecutive values, there must be every element. Otherwise, the middle value, it doesn't have an answer. It lacks some value. The middle element in that interval. If something is very low frequency, then yeah, maybe it's possible to put it in the middle of such an interval. Let's investigate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's say that 6 is very uncommon. I can mess up this part, doesn't hurt. But then, what about this element? Well, this is perfectly possible. This space is just for making it easier to read. Yeah, it is possible that an element occurs once every 2k minus 1 positions. I can repeat this pattern a lot. Note whichbot that can convert every entered comment to lowercase. I mean, maybe there is one that bans every person who uses uppercase, all uppercase, like at least twice. That would be useful. There is? Nice. In this case, can I have many occurrences of the same value? I'm kind of forced for this. There will be some trade-off between elements that occur very few times and a lot of times. If I have an element that occurs almost never, then I cannot have anything else that occurs more than some other element. That was a sequence for 6 being very rare. What about 6 being very common? Then I can have this, right? Per every k plus 1 elements, I will have 2 6s. 2 divided by that. Assuming that the whole sequence is divisible by that. Here, that. Okay, I mean any x. But this is mutually exclusive, I believe. I have some permutation. Now let's say that 5 and 6, I want them to be quite common. Then I will put them at the very beginning. And I can repeat them here. Five and 6. This is kind of interval where everything from 1 to 5 appears twice. Maybe I will build intervals, and in each interval some elements occur once, some elements occur twice. Is that good enough? It would make things much easier. After this, if I want to, without putting this bar, do something here, so that it would use the fact that this is a permutation, then I would need to put 1, 2, and 3 here in some order. But apparently, this interval, it shows me that 1, 2, and 3, they should be rare. If I wanted to use more ones, then I would put a 1 here after some reordering. Like 1 would be here and would be there. Yeah, like that. One of my favorite YouTubers is streaming on Twitch. Is it me? Well, thank you. Okay, what this would mean? Oh, and I will need to answer not only yes, no, damn it. But if it's yes and no, then looking at this, I want a lot of 2's. So I would create 2, 1, 3, 2. Okay. The frequency is this 2, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3. I create this interval, it's good, and it uses 2 2's, so the remaining count is this, the remaining requirement for every value. Then those 2, I want them to appear a lot. I can make it like that, and 0, 0, 0. Then remove a bar and we have a good sequence. It's actually the same as their sequence, but I guess that it's a coincidence. Let's try another one. 3, 2, 3, 2. Right. 1 and 3 are more common, so let's use them more. 1, 3, then 2, 4, then 1, 3 again. and a bar. The remaining counts are 1, 1, 1, 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Let's compare it. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 3. Did I mess something up? 1, 3, 1, 2. Oh yeah, they have, for them the split is into different sizes. They have this kind of split. I still don't know if it's good enough to look at splits. I hope so. To check if the sequence of counts is possible, I simulate the whole process. Every time I look what is most frequent, maybe multiple elements, then I take all of them. I put them, then remaining elements, then them again. Like here. I saw that 1 and 3 should be more common, so I put 1, 3, remaining ones, then again 1, 3. And that's my interval. That decreases counts a little bit. I think that this process always decreases everything by 1 and some values by 2 instead. This will work if and only if max is equal twice min or smaller than that. I think that this is my requirement, that there is a solution. If it is like 2 and 4, yeah, that's possible too. If the interval case is correct, then, and I need to find lexicographically smallest, then it's about whether possible to put 1 here, then a bunch of stuff. It is always some xyz, then remaining, then xyz. xyz will be sorted, like 1, 2, 3. Remaining also will be sorted. If possible, I want x to be 1. If not, then 2. If not, then 3, and so on. Similar stuff for y and z. So gets the sequence of counts. Remember that after your operation this must be true. In particular, if you use twice this value, that will be bad, because this will get down to 0 and other values will still be positive. That's bad, not allowed. But indeed we can use 1. It's okay to use twice this value. Now, can we use 2? We cannot. We cannot in this repeated process. But can we use it in remaining without using anything else in those? And yes, we can. Then we try to put 3 here. And is that allowed? Let's see. I will use 1 twice, so this will remain. 2 I use once, so this will remain. Now I try to put 3 here. Actually, I try to put 1 here, but that's not possible. Then the next best is 3. Yeah, that will be left. The last value is 4. I need to do it because this prefix must contain all the values. And then I repeat value from the beginning. Is this better than 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2? That depends on what will happen in the next interval. That's bad. I cannot greedily make a decision about interval now because I don't know what's optimal in the next step. If in the next step we will start with 1, then sure, use this, and then here it will be 1, it will be better. I think that we have this decision only in this strange case where everything is sorted. If we have, let's say, in the prefix 1, 3, then 2, 4, then 1, 3, then it's obvious that 2 should go here if possible, because it will make the prefix better. 3 should go to the middle if possible. So we aren't sure about our decision only in this case when it's optimal to use 1, 2, 3, 4 up to k, and then again some prefix. But that should be the only case. Advice to approach counting problems. This stream is one huge advice. I solved today 3 problems about counting, so watch that, watch the past 2 hours, and that's how I solve them. That's your advice. I'm not aware of good pieces of advice for like learning math or programming here, algorithms. In math, is there something like good advice about geometry problems? Just solve geometry problems. One, then if possible 2. If possible 3. I will need to here repeatedly answer. I need to answer something like this. If the first 2 elements are 1, 2, can I finish it in any way? So it would be a good interval. Good interval means that the remaining counts are solvable. And I'm not saying if 2 is repeated or not, or if 1 is repeated or not. Just this. Then I can, for this check, iterate over the prefix of that. What's the complexity? The total length will be 1000. I will first have something to like 5th power. But then I will improve. I can download tests if necessary. I mean, my solution will be first very slow, but I want to implement it to see if it works at all. And if yes, then keep improving. If I chose a few values already, Then to check if this is possible, let's say that more of them. Let's say that k is 6, and here I chose values 1, 2, 4. And there is some sequence of necessary counts. If it's 1 to 4, 3 is not present. So apparently all of that is in that. I mean, 3 is apparently here. So this is that repeated prefix for sure. I don't need to iterate over anything. If it's increasing though, like this, then I don't know, and maybe this is like the split, and 1, 2 are repeated, then 3, 4, 5, 6 are ones, then 1, 2 again. But in case of 1 to 4, I already know that they will appear twice, 3 will appear once, 5 and 6 I can decide about them. For each of them, if it's equal to maximum, let's decrease you by 2. What about looking at those counts, finding minimum, finding maximum, and if this is the case, like 3, 2, 3, 2, then I can do everything. No, I cannot. In this case, minimum can be decreased by 1 only, and maximum doesn't matter, by 1 or 2. For every sequence of counts, I will just find maybe in constant time, even after understanding what values are here, some requirements, what needs to happen. If the sequence of counts is like this, then everything can happen. Let's remember, from every value I will subtract 1 or 2. It cannot happen that I will subtract 2 from everything. And that's the only requirement. And after that, this condition must be still true. Oh, here I can do anything. I cannot break this condition. If there is 4 here, then that's something. I cannot decrease 4 by 2. If I do that, it will, no, if I decrease 4 by 2, then I need to decrease 6s by 2 as well. So that's some condition. The best way to calculate blah blah blah. I mean, I don't think it's good strategy for me to read problem from the chat and switch completely to that problem. For quality, yeah, YouTube. You need to use, maybe I should work on the comments. Erich Tattoo channel on YouTube is for restreaming at the same time, and on YouTube you can decrease the quality. No, my mouse is that? Not, it isn't. Does it matter that I cannot decrease everything by 2? If I do, that's kind of allowed. It just means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's like 2 intervals in one. I would say that it's fine. But also then just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be good. And is that the best thing I can do? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1 is also equally good. Just can be only better. Maybe not. And let's think about this hard decision of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. If I detected that 1, 2, 3, 4 is a good prefix, then I can finish this with 1 or 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So should I, for each of those cases, run the whole algorithm for the remaining part to understand what will be there? So I might need to choose between 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, this. The last one is kind of unnecessary because it's just combination of two sequences from 1 to k. Depending on each of those, something else will happen here on the right. For each of them, I can run the algorithm maybe just for this single interval. So I would know what to put here. Again, maybe without knowing how to finish it, but the first 4 values I would know. And are the first 4 values enough to distinguish? What if this is 2, 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4? If it's like that, then those prefixes are same. Maybe it's trickier to compare between something like that, 2 and 3. It will be the same if this is 3. So maybe this is 3 and 4, this is 4. In both cases then we have 1, 2, here 1, 2, 3. Here possibly we repeat a 3 and maybe 4. I don't see how to distinguish that. And I need to take a pee, so short break. I will be right back. I remembered something. In this case, we know exactly how it will finish. The fact that 3, 4 big values are in the prefix, it means they exactly those will be repeated. So 3, 4 at the beginning means exactly this. 4 at the beginning means exactly this. And new thing. So if there is this kind of tie, then it doesn't matter which one I do. If instead this was just, let's say, 3 and then 1, 2, 4 and 3, so similar to make a tie, this would need to be 1, 2, 4. Is that even possible? 3, then 1, 2, 4. Okay. 3 matches you, then 1, 2, 4, then 3. This is possible. And then the question is if remaining part is smaller than 1 to 4. Maybe this is just always the best. Putting 1 here sounds superior, because often you will be able to start here again with a 1, and that will beat everything else. When can it happen? Okay, if it's possible to put a 1 here, then this one wins, because 1 beats a 2 on this position. A bar actually should be just 1 character wide. It would be better. Right. 1 beats everything here, and you cannot put 2 1s there because that's not a permutation. I mean, well, it will just mean that this is an interval. So this is great. Whenever we can start with a 1, we're good. When this is not possible, when we don't have enough 1s. So after this, if we have counts, let's say like this, say 4, 8, 4, 7, 7, then I need to use this value twice and this value just once. So the value here will be 2. In this case it will be 2, and 1, 3, 4, 5, and a 2. 2 is repeated because it was maximum. Still sounds quite good. It won't be if I put it like that. Then this is 5. Maybe not, because 2 and 4 also can be doubled. So it would be like that, 2, 4, 5, 1, 3, 2, 4, 5. if anybody is joining now, I'm solving this problem. You can Google permutation cover, like Atcoder permutation cover, or you can grab link from the chat. What was the previous count for this to happen? Before that, counts must be equal to 6, and everything else appeared, I used just once. From that, by using 1 twice, I decreased to this situation, and now this is just 1. I can if something is not minimum, then I can use it twice. If 1 is minimum, then it might happen that I cannot use it. But after this, possibly this 2 cannot be used, if that was the case. For this, I would have 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two and 1 to 3 are so rare that from now on they will always be used just once. Maybe that's important. From now on, if you cannot do something, if you cannot use something twice, it means that you will need to forever use it once. Maybe same goes the other way. If you need to use something twice, you will keep using it twice. If this is a case that something is twice the other value, then yes, forever those are used once, this is used twice. What if it's almost like that? What if it's 4 and 7? Then I can use both once. I can't use both twice. I can use 1, 1. Basically, this cannot be used twice. This is 1, this is whatever. Let's say star means whatever. Star. For this first element, forever it will be used once. This other element, it can be used once, but then forever twice. If it's 4 and 6, then for now you can do everything except for 1, 2. So is 1, 2, 3, 4 better by any chance? Well, we have particular examples, so let's analyze it. If we use 1, 2, 3, 4, then we'll get counts, remaining counts like that. 4, 4, 7, 8. And 5, 1 can be used twice, along with 4 and 5. Then those two elements, and then those that I used twice. So this is better. Right, I think that this is the best possible prefix. Now, what's the comparison between 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2? Which one is better? Does this make sense for my example? I think so. With 1 and 2, 2 will be decreased once more. No, that's impossible. I need to think about another example. But we are comparing those two. Well, the first one stands a chance only in this case. Then it must be 2, 3. Can you use 1 or 2? In pessimistic case, maybe you need to use 3. Why did I type 4 here? I don't know. Oh no, that was a typo. We are considering this case. Then this will be 3 or above. I guess that this is the best, then this is second best, third best, and kind of fourth best, but actually it's this. So the quality order and low priority, let's say. I will try to use them in this exact order. Those two are really the same, so let's say that this is not allowed. Let's try that. Then, do I have a solution? And do I have a fast enough solution? Quadratic. Okay, 100,000. Would be nice to have k times length square. I will choose element by element for every interval. I will want to know if this can be finished. Let's just start coding. Should I number them from 0 to k minus 1? Yeah, I will do it. If this condition isn't true at the very beginning, then already we can say no. This must be true. Will I maintain the big and small? They want a function. I don't like typing max element, so helper functions. If get max greater than this. In this single case, -1. Is this C++? Yes, it is. But I'm warning you that I'm doing something advanced, so if you're not doing competitive programming, you will not find this stream useful. On first days, I do coding interviews, so that's easier and more useful in life. Very educational streams, great work. Thank you. It should say -1. Oh, I didn't read K. Should say -1 only for the third sample. It did. While we are not finished, choose elements one by one. First check if it can be 1. Some partial interval maybe? I don't like this name. Let's call it partial. This is all increasing. We will try to use this value. Not really. After I have 1 and 3, let's think. If I have 1, 3, then do I want to put 4 here? No, I don't. I want to put 2 here, and that would represent repeating 1, 3 at the end. So always try to put here a very small value. 1 actually cannot be used. Repeat many times. For every value, if not used, then do it if possible. Check if OK. If OK, used value is true, and break from the for loop, this one. I will remember how many elements I used already here. If I didn't add anything new, then break. Otherwise, I added 1 new element. This difficult part remains. After that, filling partial will be easy. If everything was used, then this is the case I was working on here. I say that we prefer 1, then 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and so on, but I need to do some extra logic for that, to check if after using 1, everything is good. Then after using 1, 2, and so on, and so on. Let's call it tricky part. Else, actually, it's not tricky, because that's the case where, let's say, I used 1, 2, 4 out of 5 numbers from 1 to 5, then for sure here 3 and 5 will go, and then again 1, 2, 4. So that's very easy. Add this. I added 3 and 5. Now let's again add 1, 2, and 4. Or wait, let's finish, but I think I need to change this. This would work if this was partial, but maybe I will add those values. At every moment I prefer to finish now. 1, 2, 3. Oh, this will be resolved easily. What happens is 1, 2, 3, 4. This prefix actually just means that I used 1 here, then everything like that. I will choose the first value, and after that, if possible, let's cut it here. Then 1, 2, if possible, cut it here. This order will be automatic. If I used 2 and 4, I try to cut here. If that's possible, then blah blah blah. Cool. So this should be good. Then this is impossible. 1, 2, 3, 4. Why didn't I cut it? I think that I do nothing here, and I will leave it as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and I will just print elements of partial. But a case like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, I consider by kind of cutting after 1 and saying that, okay, now go non-existing elements in my prefix, and then partial contains just 1 in this case. Then 2, 3, 4, then partial again. Should be good. Check if okay. Check if I can do something here and say that this element is used twice. Everything not here, I allow it to maybe assert get max to check that I didn't mess up something after partial steps. This is possible right now. Try to say that this value goes twice. And basically everything else, if your maximum, decrease by 2, otherwise by 1. Those already, I want them to decrease by 2. Those unused by 2 only if you're maximum. Wait, but something is already forbidden. When I have 1, 2, 4, if I have prefix 1, 2, 4, I cannot say now that 3 gets used twice. But if that was possible anyway, then I would use 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm good. I don't need to care about order of values. Get max. For everything else, up to k, not n. N doesn't exist. If not in partial, temporarily let's do this, but I need to move it back. How is it called? Value. If not used. If this, only then it decreases by 2. Else by 1. And I need to now check if... Oh, I made stupid functions because they work on count. Let's use a hack. Very ugly one. And OK is whether get max is smaller or equal twice get min. And not declared. Sure, it should be k. K. That's not good. I think that I'm not updating count. And everything increased by 1. One, 3, 2, 4. It's not good. First one is 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, then 2, 1, 3, 2. I should cut after 2. Oh, yeah. At every moment, try to cut exactly here. So after I added a new value, and here obviously break if you didn't find anything good, but also now consider this current partial. The question is, do you really need to decrease all the remaining maxima? Or am I fine without it? If used of x by 2, else by 1. If good of new count, then break. I stop after this moment. This will also be just good. Let's call it is good. A bit better naming. Maximum not exceed, doesn't exceed twice minimum. 2 1 3 2 2 3 1 2 3. For second 1 2 3 4 1 3 1 2 3 4, and for third this. All right. Now one more thing is can it happen that I should just use 1 2 3 4 and instead I'm trying to use something bigger? Let's do if partial of 0 is greater or equal 1. If it's not 0, can it be empty? Or maybe just this I should do at the very beginning? No, but 1 is better. Okay. This, in our thinking process, this corresponds to not starting with 1, something like 2 4 and then 1 3 then 2 4. If instead of that I can just do 1 2 3 4 and stop, so nothing gets repeated, that's better. Actually, if I have 1 3 then 2 4 then 1 3, then still 1 2 3 4 is better. I should maybe just consider 1 2 3 4 and check if it's lexicographically smaller. Consider 1 2 3 4 and just it. Can it happen that something was already 0? Can't. If is good, then compare that with the partial thing. If partial is any kind of prefix of that, we're good. If not, then this is better. It would be better. Then I think that I should just do this. Or just fill it with everything from 0 to n minus 1, so just force this case. It should not change anything here. I think it doesn't. What's my time complexity? There are 1000 elements in total. For every position, I try k values. For each of them, I do something in complexity k. I think it's 1000 times k squared, and then that's fast enough. Let's try. Nope. The stream is 3 hours 20 minutes. That's not... I don't want to write a brute force, anything like that. Should I? No, just let's find a test. Model of my child, I think it's ergo human, but I don't think it's that good. I will try other chairs in the future. Managed to solve my puzzle with DP using your videos. That's good. I don't know what your puzzle was. Atcoder tests. That will be at Atcoder Grand Contest 46. AGC 046. Problem E. In test 1 01.txt. That's a big test. No, maybe 06. It took 1 millisecond. No. 11. No. Each of them is really the same. What? Recovered. Okay, that's not this problem. It's D. Is it? Wait, what? What problem am I solving? Why am I in file d.cpp? Did I solve D? Secret passage. Did I overwrite my solution? Oh, yes, I did. Okay, never mind. So I got a good test. This is what my program finds. This was, what was 06? Go to out. What's going on? My program is using only values from 1 to 5. Do you use 5 instead of k somewhere? What's going on? Did I copy the input wrong? 5 and then there are so many values? Oh, I didn't copy the first digit. Okay. That explains the mystery. How to compare them conveniently? I don't want to do it with div. The prefix is the same. I keep using 1, 1 and then something. Yeah, this is the same. To my out. Should I break this in some way? Yeah, I see messages now from 2 minutes ago about copying 5 rather than 15. Sorry about that. Sometimes when I'm very into something, I forget that I stream. Yeah, Andreas, so to jump 1 to 3 steps, it doesn't sound like a puzzle. It sounds like a competitive programming problem. But I'm glad that dynamic programming helped you. Can I here replace every space into new line? I don't know how to do that. The same. Still the same. What about suffixes? Suffixes look the same. Okay. Those are the differences. Lines around 392. Let's go there. What was the first difference? 392. This. What did I say? 322. 29. I can't speak. It's indeed different. I print 1. I want to understand intervals here. There is stuff up to 15, 2 through 9. I guess that's repeated part. Then I would guess that this is new. Interval. Or maybe repeated will be from 2 to 9. No, not like that. In my program, we have from 2 to 9. That's repeated. Then we have values 1, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Then repeated that. My interval starts here. In their solution, repeated are what? I think that my solution is wrong, guys. This isn't split into intervals as I thought. It's not like I thought. I thought that we will have those separate intervals because otherwise I didn't have any idea how to solve a problem. And yeah, this is, I think, example of case where something else is better. We use the fact that previous interval ended with some values, so we can use some other values here. 4 GB RAM is enough to practice competitive programming. Your phone is enough. The web development, I don't know about that. Competitive programming doesn't require any power. Computer from 15 years ago will be good enough. Okay, quick look at the tutorial, the beginning, to see if indeed it's completely else. But I think I lost here. Step 1. The maximum element among AI is at most twice the minimum element. Fine. All right. They use, this is observations I didn't, this is an observation I didn't have. So that's it. I lost. My solution is wrong. Like, completely wrong. Well. Played Cyberpunk yet? No, I heard it's bugged, so I will wait half a year and then play. And it's not that I have a lot of free time right now. Didn't even see my rate. Oh, thank you, Sonorgal, for the rate. I see, have a good stream. So now I see it from 3 minutes ago. What happens is that I believe that I don't get the message. No, I got the message from 4 minutes ago. Sorry about that. Yeah, I was quite focused. Sadly, that's the very end of the stream. I'm this minute I'm finishing. So that's some unfortunate timing. But thank you for the rate. Why did I not participate in the last global round on Code Forces? I didn't have time or something like that? I don't remember. It's not default for me to participate in every contest there is. Maybe it's more like by default I don't participate. If I have time and I want to, then I do. You got your Discord server back from Monogon? Yes, it's now my server, but he is a moderator. Is, how's it called? Day of Code, Advent of Code. Is it still happening? I think it is. And here you go. I'm raiding. Like, I'm kind of, how is it called? Forwarding the raid. Thank you everybody for watching this stream today. The past half an hour or 1 hour, however long I tried to solve it, that was kind of wasted because my solution is completely wrong. It's not that I don't want to now just see in the editorial solution and implement it. I just need to look at some observation here, understand it, and spend additional half an hour or an hour to solve it. Prime agent for the win. If you say so, then that's a good rate. Larry streaming Advent of Code right now. Oh, then if I saw that message earlier, I would rate him, but now too late. Rate. Okay, 10 seconds. Thank you everybody. Join the Discord, check the calendar, and yep, see you next time on Thursday. I will do easier problems because those from coding interviews. Bye bye.
Oh my goodness. Harry? No! Welcome 72. many people. How are you doing? We're trying to figure out how to solve a problem that I'm not very good at solving. Thank you, by the way. Welcome, by the way. How are you doing? By the way. Chicken, also. Great time, right? They're just great times. You doing well? Blue Hawk, welcome. And dude, hey, welcome. Oh my goodness, there's so many of you guys. There's just so many. Hey, hop into the theater, okay? We're doing Advent of Code, day 13, part 2. Hop on in. We got ourselves lots of room. Hey, lots of room in this AOC season, okay? AOC and I are here just trying to figure everything out. So why don't you get a little popcorn, all right? You can get some coconut oil. You can get what you need and get in, okay? But I know there's a lot of you. I'll have to, AOC's not falling out of her seat. She's just very excited, okay? She's very excited, young lady, and she can't help how excited she is. She has no